Hello, good evening, and welcome to the FB4 podcast on this Sunday evening. I'm Gav, and with me, of course, I have got Shawnee, Grizz, and Keith. This show is brought to you by Tayrock.com. Tayrock, of course, are a company that sponsor us on the FB4 on a monthly basis, and they are a brilliant watch company with a huge array of timepieces, as Keith likes to call them, for men and women, gifts and jewellery. Go to Tayrock.com and use Daytrippers 15 for a 15% discount, and you can check them out on Instagram, Twitter, and of course on their website. But listen, really good stuff. Go and check them out. We give them another mention later on as well. But we have a packed show tonight. We have stuff on Kabak. We have stuff on Konaté. We want to talk about Mbappé. He's making Levi jeans with some basketball player. And of course, we're going to get on to Arsenal v Liverpool. Grizz has a new look, in case anyone's noticed. He was out in the back garden. He was out in the back garden earlier with levitating sunglasses, as he showed us in our group. And he is sporting a brand new look. The beanie's in the wash. Grizz, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm very surprised at some of the comments about Chris has been okay. I've used Manscaped, but it's not a new look. It's like the same look I've had since I was 12. No hair on my head and loads on my face. Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's worked for you this long, Grizz. Why change it?
Right. Listen, Keith, this is the key to success. If it's not broke,
Exactly.
why fix it? And so I've been like this since I was 11, 12. I often remind my son, here's what it is. I mean, people, thank you for the love and noticing it, but it's nothing different, lads.
Somebody there said in the chat, would you not get rid of all that beard and give us an Alisson-esque mustache for next week?
Oh, yeah. We'll have to sort something out. For me to brave just a mustache, it'll have to be something like when we reach 20K. When we reach 20K or something.
Well, you're on the bike, of course, at 10K.
Yeah, 100% I am. 100% I am.
You would need...
big glass of milk. It's getting close.
Loads of milk in a square glass. But I am looking there and I'm saying to myself, you probably need to throw a bit of what's the gear they use to black out your hair?
Do I?
Is it just for men?
Shoe polish.
For men. Just for men. Yeah,
you need to do that. You're a bit grey. So
that's all right. That's all right, Gav.
All right. Okay. Well, if you 20K Alisson style mustache,
20K Alisson style, just mustache.
Okay. Absolutely.
Flavor.
Log it, Janine.
Log it, Janine. Of course, Shawnee, the head of all these sort of things, will log. So, that's in the book now. Right, let's get on to it. So, listen, there is loads to get through. So, let's get straight into it. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 3. And look, we're all delighted with that result and the performance, which is much improved. But we'll get on to that in a couple of minutes. But Shawnee, I watched a bit of reaction from Arsenal Challenge last night, and they were absolutely disgusted with the performance put in by their side. Aubameyang came in for a lot of criticism. Gabriel, Partey, there was a lot of them that came in for a lot of criticism. Before we get on to Liverpool, were you surprised how poor Arsenal were? Because the only thing I thought after the game was they must be focusing a lot on this. I think it's Slavia Prague they have in the Europa League. But were you surprised how bad they were, or do you think that was just down to Liverpool just being dominant from minute one, more or less?
Yeah, I've seen that being thrown around a bit, but to be honest with you, Gav, I think it was a mix of both. But I don't know, not many Liverpool fans probably would have noticed that, kid, but Arsenal were missing some key players yesterday. Saka and Xhaka are huge to their system. Now, I know people don't rate Xhaka a whole lot, but I actually think he's a decent player, and I think he's important to their system and how Arteta wants to play. But they never turned up yesterday from the first whistle. But we were thinking, geez, there's no way they can be that bad in the second half, and they were awful. And then they obviously missed Tierney then when he went off. But I think that's Arsenal at the moment, Gav. To be honest with you, they're in a bit of purgatory at the moment. Like they look like they were sneaking up on the teams they were chasing for a while with a few decent results pre the international break. But I don't think they've a good enough squad, and I don't think Arteta is a great coach, to be honest with you. I really don't rate him. I think what he's trying to do there with the set of players he has just does not fit. Trying to play in the defensive side of football with the players that he has just does not fit. Trying to play defensive football when you're playing a back three. If you're playing a back three, it would suggest that you don't have the defenders that you want, because nobody who deploys a back three is playing with the players that they want. So they brought in Saliba they sent him out again. I don't know what's going on there. It seems to be a bit of a mess from top to bottom. And then you just have the big players, Aubameyang, the likes, not turning up. So I don't know what Arsenal are going to do going forward. It's a shame because Arsenal are one of the teams that I probably watch outside of Liverpool and kind of want to do well, even though I know a few fans that are arseholes. But even though then they're a big club. I love Wenger. I'm a massive fan of Wenger. Mm-hmm. They're a big club, but they seem to just be going backwards now at this stage, Gavin. I don't know when it's going to change because between the owners, management and the players that there, none of it is good enough for me if I was an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, like Kieran B says, some of the Arsenal fans said we didn't play well. He finds that funny. He doesn't know what they were watching because he felt we ate them alive. And John says no excuses for Arsenal. We have Madrid in midweek and we are still locked in. Grizz, they did have a couple of players missing. And it's funny, I want to talk a little bit about Arteta because when he comes in, people were saying he's trying to play this brand and he's trying to play, it's attacking, it's progressive. But are you surprised to see the way he's gone? Because I agree with Shawnee, when you play a back three, it's because you don't have the players you want. But he seems to have even gone away from what he promised last season or what they were showing some promise of. And now you're just looking at a side that are like literally sitting back and going, we'll try hit teams on the break, but they look out of ideas for me, Grizz. And I think Shawnee's right. It is a bit of purgatory because do they push in the Premier League or do they hold everything on the Europa League and bank that as the best chance of getting into the Champions League?
It's very much the latter yesterday. I know a lot of Arsenal fans, and obviously my son being an Arsenal fan, and I sort of get to sort of into their minds and sort of see how they saw the game yesterday. Even some of our own Liverpool fans didn't think much of the game in terms of what it really meant. But Arsenal definitely didn't. It was a meaningless match for them. Absolutely meaningless. And they made that very clear. And you're talking 95% of the fan base that I spoke to. They didn't give a shit about yesterday's game. All right, the fact that we're playing Liverpool, even that wasn't sort of appealing to them anymore because of the fact that we're Liverpool are. So it was all eggs in the basket for Europa. From what they say, the lads that were missing were sort of, they'll be back for sort of Thursday. So it was just a matter of taking no risks whatsoever. With Arteta and his style, I think I'd still stick with him. I still think he's a good coach. I still think he's the least of their problems. If you think about it, or if you read about it, since he changed to the 4 at Christmas, if you look at their form from Christmas, because yeah, you're right, they played 5 at the back and all sorts of formations, but since Christmas they played 4 at the back. If you look at their results, they're in the top 4. So he's onto something. Yesterday, obviously, I think we were very good and they were atrocious. They were embarrassment. So if you take away yesterday's result, they've picked up some good results, including the North London derby and Chelsea in recent games. So I think he's got a monumental task there. The whole culture, the whole attitude throughout that club is awful, isn't it? I mean, you got Aubameyang turning up late for North London derby, getting sent home, things like that. Ill-disciplined squad throughout. He's got a lot to deal with for a novice coach. He's a young man, young coach going into probably one of the worst run clubs in Europe. It's a big task and it'll take him time, I think.
Master of Disaster says this, Keith, and I'll put it to you. He is in a worse position than Emery, yet he's getting nowhere near the heat. And I agree with that because, and I keep going back to it, Arsenal had a chance they had a chance at Ancelotti. They had a chance at loads of people, and they just made an easy decision for me, a PR decision with Arteta. And he seems to be I think he is getting some heat from Arsenal fans, don't get me wrong, but he just seems to float under the radar a little bit, doesn't he? Maybe it's the Slavia Prague thing, maybe it's the Europa League, and people will excuse him because of what their priorities are now, as we enter into April. But Keith, at the same time, for me, they went out there yesterday, and I know they're missing some players, but when you look at that 11, Liverpool absolutely dominated them from start to finish. But I don't see any excuses in that for even trying.
Yeah, I was on a pod there the other night, the Weekly Armchair, their London show, and I was talking to Arsenal fans, and I'd sort of mentioned, that maybe he gets a bit more bit more rope than the likes of Emery did, and they were like, "Oh no, Emery was dreadful. Emery had to go." And then you see now look, I hate comparing the first 50 games of someone and the first, because they done it with Klopp, and a manager goes in, you can't judge one set against another. But I don't know what he's doing. I don't know where he's going. He played into our hands yesterday. Now I know they were missing Saka and they were missing Smith Rowe, and they're two really good players from now. They can be off the boil or whatever. They're only young guys, but he's playing Aubameyang out wide, and as Grizz touched on there, the disciplinary issues of Aubameyang. He's the captain. They've created a situation there where he's their captain. He's earning 400k a week or something like that, isn't he? He got a big whopper contract in the summer. Yeah. They're in a shit show, and Arteta has. I don't know if it's Arteta's fault. I don't know what it is, but where they run from top to bottom, Kroenke is in there, and Stan Kroenke doesn't give a bollocks about Arsenal, right? I don't know, one of the sons, Sean, you might know more, or is one of the sons is running the show. Josh Kroenke is running the show there, right? I don't know what influence or interest he has in making Arsenal successful, because they shook up their backroom staff. They brought in Sven Mislintat from Dortmund, and we're going down this route of we're going to go this way. They fucked him out. They brought in Adil.
He walked, Keith.
Yeah, but he was sort of forced out. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't getting what he was told he was going to be getting.
Yeah, like he went in there and I think he was giving up names to the board, and he was just being completely overhauled by anything that he said. So, and then they went with your man Edu as well, and then there was talk. Then they had your man Jarokshibin, the Kia Jarokshibin, the agent has the whole club in his back pocket and over a barrel. Shouldn't be happening to a club the size of Arsenal. You know what I mean? And look, maybe I'm being harsh on Arteta, but maybe I am being harsh because there's obviously a coach in there. Pep speaks very highly of him, and he obviously has a footballing brain because he was the type of player that did. But I'd echo what Grizz said. It's the worst run football club in England by a long mile anyway. And up there with Europe, it's a joke what's going on there.
And for the sheer size of them.
Yeah, but is it a case of Kroenke in America? He owns the
LA Rams,
American football team. Yeah,
LA Rams,
or a franchise you call them. And then when we hear about FSG, they're not interested. They're never at games. But then when you actually have the owner just passing to his son and going, "Here, you look after it," kind of doubles down, doesn't it, on maybe a lack of interest, and it's just a financial. They just want spreadsheets on finances to see how they're doing, and that's the be all and end all for them. But something like Grizz said there about when they went to far at the back around Christmas time, wasn't it, Chris? And they went on a really good run. I remember watching them dismantle fucking West Brom. Now I know that's not a massive thing, but the form West Brom are in despite a win at Chelsea yesterday. But I watched them and thought, yeah, they're starting to click a little bit, and then he's reverted to this. And people would say there's players missing, but Arteta's brought in there the strength of being a really good coach and working under Pep Guardiola. Surely, if he's playing 4-3-3 or whatever, 4-2-3-1, he can just put other players in there and coach them, and he's had plenty of time to do it. It just seems to me that he's second-guessing himself and going three at the back. It's a bit mad, but to watch them yesterday, I think it was a bit of them looking towards Thursday. But again, I think there was a massive naivety in them, and Liverpool just pounced on it and absolutely ate them alive, strangled them from the outside.
Gav, you touched on something there. They're changing the plan. Arteta could be a good coach, but he's not going in with, when Jurgen Klopp went into Liverpool and it was baby step, or it was constant building, you knew there was a plan and you knew sort of what he was trying to do. Arteta is reminding me nearly of Brendan Rodgers. Not a dig at Rodgers here, but he has a plan. Until the plan doesn't work, then he's looking for another plan, and he'll try and find a plan that's working for him. And
guys, I think we're being harsh on Arteta. I've seen a plan from the Arsenal fans I speak to. There is a definitive plan, a pressing style of playing football from the back. He hasn't got the players to do it. We can say that. He hasn't been backed at all by this board. We can say that.
No, I don't agree with that either.
But to say. To say, but he didn't ask for example,
you want the Parday.
Willian, for example, he didn't want Aubameyang to have a new contract.
Then hold on. If he didn't want them to have it, and he's the manager of the football club, he says.
But this is the problem. But this is why.
But then he should. He should walk out.
Shout out to a friend of the pod, Lee Gunner. This is why he literally tears his heart out and a hair out. Wow, tear his heart out soon as well. Yeah, probably. But at the moment, he's tearing his hair out because this is the kind of things he says. I mean, obviously, he's an absolute not Arteta fan either, but he says the problems are crazy from the top. They literally, I think one of you guys said it, literally don't care about it. They literally don't, and it's it emanates through the squad and through the playing squad. I mean, look, you've got Aubameyang turning up late for the derby, and then he gets caned for it and he gets dropped for it. About 2-3 days ago, there's another video of him with his new hairstyle, and if you notice carefully, he's strolling in.
Yeah, all the boys are ready to train.
They're ready to go, and that's their captain there, Sean. So, Arteta's hands are tied. There's so much he can do. You got to remember, it's his first job. He's a novice. He's young. He's trying to create an identity, an attitude. When you hear him, he does come across, and he's improved the young players, lads. These young lads, Tierney's been magnificent. Smith Rowe, Saka, they've been
hungry. He's a £25 million signing.
But they're hungry players. They're hungry players.
But that's his job now.
Yeah, but hold on. But then his job is
the younger players.
But then Grizz, like, I'm being corrected here, right? So first of all, Cameron says Keith and Grizz are giving the Mitchell brothers a run for their money. Great show.
I said Fred.
Absolutely great show. Stephen Dunn said he's not the manager, Gav. He's the coach. Arsenal have about 28 managers all inept.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm being corrected on that, and that's absolutely fine. But I get that. But he's the head coach. He picks the team. If they're hungry players like Saka, Smith Rowe, whatever. If Aubameyang's walking in late, just don't play him. Just don't play him.
He did.
Yeah, and now he's playing him. No. You've just said he got a haircut.
It's political there. It's crazy politics.
Well, then
for a young coach, it's too much.
Absolutely. I think to just make a long story short, I think if you want to be a manager like Arteta, you need a boy in from top to bottom, and he's not getting that.
Yeah,
because he obviously has got an idea. He genuinely obviously does. He done unbelievable work at City defensively. So I believe, to be told, you need a boy in from top to bottom. You need what Klopp got at Liverpool, and he's not getting that. There's a disconnect there. Like someone said in the chat there, that Arteta wanted Aouar and Edu wanted Partey, and it was one or the other, and it just hasn't worked out. And then there has been time where I've seen looking at him going, well, what's he doing that for? I think after 20 minutes in the North London derby in White Hart Lane, or whatever they call that place now, fucking whatever it's called, Stadium. Partey was feeling his hamstring, and he was turning around to Arteta and saying, look, I need to come on. And Arteta was like saying, no, come on, keep going. It's just little things like that. Yeah. But that's naivety. He's young, he's a coach, and he will learn. And the talk is that there's clubs bigger than Arsenal that want to take him from Arsenal. Yeah. So obviously he's doing something right. I think he's on a road to nothing there with the hierarchy that's above him. And like someone said there, he's not a manager, he's a coach. And unless everyone's buying in, he's not gonna get anywhere.
Well, Rodney says Arteta is the manager. His role was changed from head coach with his new contract. But regardless of that, I don't fair play to you for pointing this out with regards to backing from top to bottom. But surely Arteta going into that job maybe went in a bit blinkered and thought it's Arsenal I want it, and looked for assurances. And if he looked for assurances and hasn't been getting them, he's every right to be annoyed. But at the same time, he either stands up to that or he's never going to get anywhere at Arsenal. It's as simple as that, because it's a relationship that'll rot until he'll leave, not because the club won't. But it's an interesting conversation. I'm sure we could have one with Lee Gunner again, and maybe some other Arsenal fans at some stage. But it's always one. And I've always said I'm like Shawnee. I like watching Arsenal. I've no kind of badness towards them, but they frustrate the fuck out of me. They really, really do. From top to bottom, and mostly centre halves. It's just mind blowing. When you're walking around claiming Koscielny is one of your best centre halves of the last 20 years, you have an issue. But look, moving on, Liverpool, and Shawnee, I'll come back to you. Because regardless of what Arsenal were interested or not, or Thursday, whatever, we're playing Real Madrid on Tuesday, and I thought, Shawnee, and I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself because we've done this before and fell flat on our faces, but I thought Liverpool looked refreshed. I thought he looked hungry. I thought he looked like they actually had a plan. There was variety in their play, and they were confident in themselves, comfortable. There was so much to that yesterday. Now, I'm not saying they're going on a brilliant run, but that yesterday looked to me, Shawnee, like a team that had spent some time together and got their heads around things and refreshed and recharged. And it looked a bit like the old Liverpool, because I don't care about Arsenal and how good or bad they were. Liverpool stood on their throat from early on and never let go.
100%, Gav. What you said there, just on terms of what benefit we had from the break. I think coming up to the break, we were all screaming for it. We needed a reset button. I know we had a good win against Wolves and we go through against Leipzig, but I still think we needed the reset button at some stage just to regroup and get. I know a few lads went off on international duty and a few stayed around, but I remember watching the inside training, which was like the last one before a lot of the lads went off, and I had a bit of a kind of last day of school feel. Everyone was having the crack, and there seemed to be a bit of a feel-good mood around training, and I was thinking, Jesus, those 2-3 weeks will be invaluable coming up to the run-in just to get recharged, get people back in and just refocus. And you could see it yesterday. We looked a bit toothless in the first half. We created a lot of chances. We had a lot of the ball. There was some excellent standout performances. But one thing I will say is that the touch was back. The ball was sticking to players all of a sudden. Even Bobby was looking sharp in moments. He had a few drag backs. He looked a little bit more like himself. And the one big plus for me was Trent. Just seeing how charged he looks. We've seen his celebration for the assist. And people are lashing Southgate over, but to be honest with you, I think it's a masterstroke from Southgate, because if I'm being honest here, take a Liverpool rose tints off for a minute. Trent needed a rocket. Trent needs a rocket. The kid is special, but his head has been up his arse for large parts of the season, and he's been good and he's been bad. But just that little kick up the hole might be exactly what he needs to kick on and for him to, because there's no way he's not going to Euros. Let's be honest with you. I don't care what anyone says. He's going to go to Euros. He may not make the first 11, but he will definitely be in the 23 for the Euros. There's no way he won't be. I don't think Southgate is that stupid. But it seemed to light a fire under him, Gav. And then the added bonus of having Thiago and Fabinho in the middle together. Fabinho just being where he's supposed to be, allowing others to do what he does. And we're just seeing the difference that he makes, how good that he is. He's ridiculous. And everyone around him went up a level. Thiago's best league performance in a Liverpool jersey so far. And I let the boys get on to Jota, because Jota looks like he's going to take off and become a superstar now at this stage. It's ridiculous. The hit rate with the forward players we seem to have. He looks like he's going to rocket off and go to another stratosphere between now and next season. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I want to keep Jota for leave him just parked for a little bit. Rames Khalil says, guys, anyone else concerned about Mane's form? Fabinho and Thiago midfield is the way to go. Jota is the truth. Great performances also from Trent and Salah. Excited to see your thoughts on their transfer plans. The transfer stuff, we're going to do a little bit on that later on. A couple of updates. I disagree with you, Shawnee, on Southgate. I'm going to be honest. I don't disagree that he needs a rocket. I don't disagree with that. But for me, the England manager, I'll tell you what I think happened. I think what happened was, I think Liverpool had a word with Gareth Southgate and said, listen, we're out down to the bones here. He's played a lot of fucking games. He's still suffering from COVID or form or whatever it might be. Can you leave him out? Right? And the easy thing to Southgate to do is just turn around and go, look, Trent's been left out. He's played a lot of football. He's not in the best of form, but look, he's a great player, and we're going to give him a rest because we think he deserves it.
Yeah, but
the comment that annoyed me is when he says all these things, and he was fine up to then, but then he says, I'm sure sometime in the future he may be back to play really well for England. It was a real kind of pat on the head. Now, I firmly believe there was an agreement between Liverpool and England. I don't think Southgate. I don't think Southgate like that.
That was like a personal thing.
Yeah, but I don't think Southgate
yesterday was kind of like, fucking look at me. At me. Gary Neville even remarked on it. So if there was an agreement between Liverpool and England and he didn't let Trent know, well, then I think
Trent would have known. But I think for me, and I don't disagree, I think Trent's emotional after that goal yesterday, which we get onto in a bit. But I think that's more of it's more of the public reaction. And there's been a lot of it. And there's been a lot of them. And there's probably been a lot thrown across social media about Trippier or Reece James or whatever. But I just think the way Southgate done that, I think he had to comment on it because Trent would expect it to be in that squad.
Klopp hung Southgate then yesterday after the game.
Yeah, no chance. Agree.
But I think there was some sort of agreement there, and Southgate went completely the wrong way with his words around it. And then the fire was lit under Trent. And I don't think Southgate done it. I think Southgate actually put a fire under him by saying the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Rather than saying the right thing and letting Trent, and the culmination then of the social media and everything in the fucking media and papers and whatever else, that's what triggered Trent. And if you watch, like you said, if you watch Klopp yesterday, he's not fucking happy with Gareth Southgate. And it's not because he dropped him, it's because what he said, in my opinion.
But Southgate said about if he's not in form, you won't be getting picked, blah, 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 blah. But he picked Trippier, he picked Dyer, he picked others that aren't in form. Trippier's being banned. I didn't even think he was back from his fucking ban. Do you know what I mean? So Trippier's not in form.
But you see, that's the thing that gets to me. Like,
so I think it's that he called him out, and that's what sort of pissed off Klopp and had Klopp sort of. If there was an agreement, it was like, right, if there's an agreement, there's an agreement. But don't go start saying, you know, he has to do this or he has to do that. We know what he is.
Yeah. So look, it's a side issue, but it has come up. But look, at the benefit of it all, Trent got arrested and he's banging in fucking crosses like that, and he was brilliant yesterday.
The lawyer, yeah.
So Keith, I'll stay with you. And we've talked about the improvement. I want to talk to you about the midfield before I let Grizz get on to some other issues or some other areas. The midfield for me, a bit of a surprise when Milner starts, but then again, he was the one that hadn't been away on international duty. He would have been the freshest, so that makes sense. Of course, Fabinho back in his normal 6. Wijnaldum gets a rest, which I think is huge, and Thiago was there as well. And I have to say, Keith, they looked some of the touches were brilliant. Fabinho was out of this world for me, but they just looked like they're at to spending 2 weeks together. Or they're at to spending time together where they go, listen, this is what we're going to do. And like Klopp has done for years, time on the training ground to make things work. And it looked like they got there yesterday because they were so disciplined, they were so sure of themselves, and they were dominant in no matter what way they had to do it, defensively, offensively, scrapping in the middle of the park. I thought the midfield confidence was huge for the team yesterday.
Yeah, it was, and you touched on it there. The fact that Milner wasn't away, Fabinho wasn't away. I know Thiago was off at Spain, but the other two were there. You had Genie playing. I don't know if he played all 3 games for the Netherlands, but I'm sure he probably featured. He
probably played 4. Even though he had 3.
Wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But even Curtis Jones. Yeah. Curtis Jones had a shift fit, didn't he, in the England under 21s, and
was racially abused, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was probably he's had minutes on the international break, and it was probably a bit of a masterstroke because we don't usually come back well after breaks. Liverpool, we take a bit of time to get into it. But this break came at a perfect time, and you could see that in the play yesterday. Fabinho, I'm a big fan of Fabinho at centre back, but not the way this season has fallen. Not when he's the senior centre-back and he's got a different partner every week. That's not what he can do at centre-back. But since he's gone back into midfield, what we're seeing is the best defensive midfield player in Europe, possibly. People will argue, and they can make that case and argue. We'll make a case for Fabinho. And he's doing the job. He's protecting the back 4. He's creating attacks. He's doing everything. This nickname of his, the Lighthouse, just suits him so well. He sees everything. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's in front of him, beside him, behind him, he sees it all. He's absolutely fantastic. And we've missed it terribly in the midfield. We've said this for months now. Losing Van Dijk, losing Gomez has not just been about losing Van Dijk and losing Gomez, because when Thiago comes into the team, he's playing too deep. He's not playing his normal game. Now we've put Fabinho in there. We're seeing Thiago coming into his own now. He's getting used to the team. He's getting used to the system. He's getting used to the style. He's getting used to the referees in the Premier League. But having Fabinho there to do that work is going to help him. You can see with the two of them that they connect very well. Do you know what I mean? Even when Fabinho was playing at the back, you could always see a little sort of connection with them. Passing wise, they were always sort of linking up well with each other. And I think that going forward now is a huge plus for us. A settled team with 1 or 2 changes now is going to make all the difference for us. And Milner came in yesterday and he'd done very well, I thought. I thought he was very well, especially when he went to left back. But then Arsenal didn't really offer anything against him. But I just thought it was a good performance.
I thought it was. I was really, don't get me wrong, I thought we'd get onto the centre halves in a bit and we could talk about Alisson, but it was literally just his moustache. He'd fuck all to do.
Yeah.
But, we've spoken about Trent, and but that midfield for me, the way they talk about functional stuff, and Liverpool are at the best if their front 3 or 4 and the midfield is functional, because that's how they do it. The fullbacks do their job and you know how it goes. But yesterday there was a bit more to it. There was, even little passes that a couple of weeks ago you go, oh, that's just off, or that's just a yard ahead of a fella, and the teams are getting a chance to snap into us and break down our momentum. There was just things happening all the time for me. And looking at it, they're quality players. And a big thing is, look, Fabinho in his six, Thiago playing ahead of him with a hard-working Milner. That's perfect, because you've seen like a Bayern with Kimmich and Goretzka. You've seen him do that sort of thing. So it actually worked, but there was just something like a familiarity with them yesterday, which I thought was really, really good. Grizz, a couple of people have mentioned in the chat about Sadio Mane, and before we get on to the 3 goals and a couple of other players, people are just a little bit concerned over Sadio Mane. He hasn't been in the best of form, but is there an argument, Grizz, that if you have those 4, including Jota, fully fit, and one of them is quite slightly off, it's okay, because we have the cover there, we have the quality there. Because we've seen it over the years. Firmino mightn't be on it, Salah mightn't be on it, Mane mightn't be on it, but the other 2 cover. And we actually have that cover now. But overall, is it just one of those things with Mane, you're just going to have to just let him get through it and come out the other side?
I think we're going to have to give him 100% the benefit of the doubt. He's earned it. The fella's been absolutely out of this world for 4 years, maybe. Is it 4 years, lads? About 4 years. Yeah. So listen, as much as I personally think he's been atrocious, and I say that with such a heavy heart, because he's my favorite man. Like, he's my favorite man. But his decision making has been atrocious. His energy is there, his effort is there, the strength seems to be still there. It's just decision making in the final third seems to be totally gone. But I'm absolutely not writing him off and saying, "Oh, that's the end of Mane." Like we haven't said the end of Bobby, but as we've said, Bobby's definitely seen better days, and it's only downhill now for Bobby. He's still a class act at his best, like he showed yesterday. Same with Mane. I think Mane, Gav. I think Mane's decision making, and it 100%. He'll get through it. And maybe it will come through at the most vital and important time of the season, which is now. Mane will terrify Madrid. Madrid will be terrified of Mane. And that will only help us against the fullback that he's playing against. So, for example, let's say Luis Vasquez he's playing up against, or the other fella's back now, Carvajal. They'll be having nightmares about Mane. They wouldn't have seen Mane every game this season, but they'll have memories of Mane in Europe from last season, in Premier League last season. So they'll sit back. They won't attack as much, and they won't play as much. So we've always got that psychological advantage of someone like Mane when he's playing. So you've got to have him in the team. I love your idea about, not idea, but like the way you said, if we have all 4 of them, then one of them's allowed to have an off day or an off week even, or off couple of weeks, because that's the beauty of having 3 or 4 absolute world-class forwards. And in that second half, from the 60th minute onwards, when Jota came on and Bobby just slightly dropped, and you saw Mane possibly through the middle and then interchanging with Jota, I thought that's exactly what our plan was for this season. And you saw a glimpse of it. You saw 25 minutes of the glimpse
bit like
of
City away.
Yeah, you saw the evolution that was supposed to take place this season. And that's what got me really, really excited. I got really excited. I'm not going to lie. It's the first time in ages I got excited, Gav, because that's what we need to do now. We've got to have faith in especially playing teams like Arsenal, or the way that Arsenal played when they just sit there. Guys, it's go and try to defend against all 4 of them when they're on the pitch, when they play like they did yesterday. Because Bobby was good yesterday. I don't know if you want to touch on Bobby, but I'll put in a word for Bobby. Bobby was slick again, and when Bobby's refreshed and sorted out his hairstyle and everything, he looks slick. He looks like a footballer. Yeah. You could tell he was in the mood. But look, Mane, I think he is out of form. There's no hiding from me. I'm not going to say no. It's okay. It's just It's been about 5-6 weeks. He's been really out of it, but there is glimpses, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But when you have 4 of them, did you notice the lift that Jota brought in? I know you probably want to go into Jota.
Yeah, because it's quality in numbers, isn't it? Like, this is what I'm saying to you. You're talking about the evolution, and I agree with you. I think they would have looked to play a midfield 2, or, drop Firmino back and have a midfield 2 in front of him, and, or behind them, and then get Salah and Mane each side, and maybe Jota or Jota left, Mane up front. It's so interchangeable, and it's quality in numbers where he might be at 75%, but the other three are flying. So his 75% will look fine. You know, like Mark A says, Mane has enough credit in the bank. Dan J says he played well. You can see he's lacking confidence at the minute in front of goal. A couple of goals on Tuesday will fix that. And Kev O'Sullivan says, as long as Sadio was getting chances, I'm not worried. A bit of luck, he gets 2 yesterday. I just think not only because he's flying, but keeping Jota fit will help those three boys not only on the pitch but keep their mind focused. I think it's huge, and I think that's been not only the football and ability of Jota, but his presence as the fourth man in that as the fourth man in that four to either put pressure on them or get on the pitch with them and not mask poor form but help them. Whereas Mane is not having a great day, but Jota scores too. You know what I mean? And we kind of forget the Mane. So it masks it a little bit, but it helps so fucking much, I think. Both on the pitch or a fella sitting on the sidelines that's ready to come on, it helps the squad overall. Sorry, Shawnee.
No, it's just like you were saying, having the four there and fit and available will be massive for us in the run-in, but it's the characteristics of each of them. Like Mane is a mad player. Mane is erratic at the best of the time, but like a goal or two will make all the difference for him. He's like a dynamite just waiting to go off. You know what I mean? Salah has games where he can be. Look at Salah yesterday. Just that's killer. That's elite finishing. That's just the highest end of attacking football you can get. And then you have Jota now, who's just giving us that little bit of directness. And all of a sudden, God, we have options everywhere. We've options on the bench for midfield. We've options on the bench for up top. And that's what is going to make the difference now going into structure and consistency will allow us to be successful in the back end of the season. Playing the same players every week will mean that we get better. It's not fucking going through a month and having 8 different centre-back pairings, 8 different midfields. It will be about having the same bodies available all the time. Jota only come off the bench yesterday. Yeah. You fail to realise, like, Bobby looked a lot sharper. Like, it's just... right now is the business end of the season, and it just looks like it's about to fall into place for us at the perfect time. Sadio Mane has always been a streaky type of footballer. He's always been that way. Never been any different. I'd be worried about Mane if the effort stopped, and it hasn't stopped. That's the main thing. Once the effort is there, we'll be grand. So it's about just keeping the key lads fit now, and a bit of luck. We could get 1 or 2 back maybe before the back end. And now maybe only Henderson is the only one who might make it back. Now I don't know what the story is with him, but it would just be a massive lift in this run in, because to be honest with you, after the Fulham game, I abandoned ship with the Premier League. You heard me saying, you heard me saying it was yesterday was a nothing game, but look, one result going, couple of results going your way completely changes the complexion of it.
Until we lose a game, it's still on. When we lose a game, I think you throw in the towel. I think that's fairly obvious.
Tuesday huge, Gavin. It just looks like the hunger and desire is coming back at the...
Is this game on Tuesday going to be played at the Bernabeu or the training complex?
Training ground.
Okay, training complex.
The Bernabeu is a building site at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Couldn't just lash your railings around a couple of cones?
A few hard hats.
Sadio running around the hard hat on.
He's playing like he's running around with a hard hat with that new hair implant that he got. I think that's what they're fucking him up. Just filling in that little bit at the front. Should have just left it or shaved the rest of it off.
Yeah, you see. But
it's time to let go, Sadio. I'm going to have words, don't worry.
But the thing is, haircuts don't work. But look, Grizz gets his haircut and he's still on form. So look, if Grizz can do it, you should all aspire to be on.
Come on, Sadio, let go.
Before we finish on Sadio, I think the Crays had a point in there. He's only had about 3 weeks rest in 2 seasons. Now I know
the brothers,
the Crays, there could be the brothers, could be all of them.
That was the Cray brothers.
Could be the Cray brothers. I don't know. They might confirm or deny. It's up to them. But they pointed out that Mane's only had about 3 weeks rest because he went to the final of the AFCON last season and was on the bench 3 days later for us against Norwich in the first game of the season. Now I know the season broke up last season for so many months, but the players were still having to train and were still having to be, on some form of Yeah, but they had to be on some form of standby as well. That
He
this
had
could be
COVID,
back. It
which
could be
can't be
back.
overlooked because the long-term effects COVID is having on.
Shawnee, I think you nailed it. I think you.
Yeah.
I think you. You just reminded me, and one of my mates was telling me about sort of the different effects of COVID, and
Well,
sort of
long COVID is the thing that's killing a lot of American athletes in the NFL and the NBA. They're saying they're genuine cases of players that just can't fucking run, that were fast, that were energetic, and
Was
just
there
can't.
another comment
can't do
about
it.
St. Maxim today that he only played a half an hour, and Bruce said he was blown. So
Yeah.
still
But
feeling.
I'll give you an even simpler one. And this may sound ridiculous, but this is really simple, right? You're talking
Go on,
about
Gav.
elite athletes, and they have this. One of the guys that does the podcast with us, his brother got it, right? And he describes his brother as young, fit, healthy, pure health, loves his training and stuff like that. And every so often, when he walks up a flight of stairs, he's gasping for air, right? And his father also got it. And his father, who's like, I think he's heart problems, breathes through it. Not a problem, no difference to him. So the effects are so much different on people, regardless of their health or how much they train or, how much they don't train. So it just shows you, like, it's going to affect people in so many different ways over a huge variety of time, if you get me.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think the person, I'm not going to name the person who does the podcast with us, whose brother got it, because why should I? But he's saying to me that this was months ago he got it. And he's still today walking up flights of stairs as a young, fit, healthy man, gasping for air. He's out of air.
Yeah,
or he's getting massive bouts of what would you call it?
Fatigue.
He's very lethargic. Yeah.
Fatigue is completely different to being tired. Fatigue is awful. Fatigue is not being tired. Is if you sleep, you wake up, you're grand. Fatigue is no energy to do nothing, and you can see it sometimes. You can just it just zaps you. And you look at someone saying there, Thiago and Trent. We need to take all this into account, lads, because this is new. This is completely new. Yeah. This is something that we're not even taking into account when it comes to these lads. We just think, he'd be grand. He's an elite athlete. He'd be fine. It's not working like that. It's coming and it's going.
Yeah.
So
but Tony L says Salah got it, and he still plays like he's just think. But that's what I'm saying. It's affecting different players in different ways. It's just the way it is. I want to move on. The last player I want to talk about before we get on to the goals, and I know we're 45 minutes in, but we're having a lovely time. And for anyone wondering, yes, I'm on the Guinness. They're fucking gorgeous. But Grizz, I'm going to start with you. Nat Phillips. He was playing a bit of right wing, as someone mentioned earlier, for a minute or two, but it was fucking pipe and slippers yesterday. I thought he was absolutely fantastic.
It's difficult to choose or find anyone that wasn't, to be honest with you. But yeah, the game plan worked a treat for someone like Nat Phillips and Kabak. And that is, our pressing was immense, absolutely immense. I know you guys have touched upon the midfield already, but the fact that them three, I think my biggest thing about them I'd give them is their intelligence. All intelligent football players. So Gini and Milner, I beg your pardon, Thiago and Milner may not have the legs as eights if they were sort of playing 6 years ago. But what they've got up there is far too quick in the mind for any of those Arsenal lads, and they showed that. And it enabled the front lads to continue that pressing what the midfield was doing. And then what it forced was Arsenal to keep pumping it long. And, Lacazette and Aubameyang against Phillips and Kabak, you're having a laugh. I don't know what the duel's success rate, it was, but I guarantee it was above 60, 70%. Phillips and Kabak ate them alive, just had a vice-like grip on the whole team. And it made them, as you said, they played in their slippers. Me and you could have been playing in that flat back four, I should say. Gav, we could have done a lovely job, the grand job there. All right, you slightly struggle with the aerial, but I know along the floor you're a beast. But they were grand. They were,
and you'd struggle across the floor, but in the air, I know you're a beast.
There is my intelligence. For my intelligence, but yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Just going
But
into
any
head, just going into
high
head.
ball is going to kill this fat back four if it doesn't go anywhere near Shawnee.
Yeah, come here.
Keith,
And avoid the corner fall apart. I've no knees.
Grizz just going into aerial challenge and shouting context.
Come on. Keith, honestly, you've seen Baresi play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're nothing like him.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing like him. But listen, we Philip, I tell you who I thought did slightly struggle, and it's on the back of sort of what we've discussed about Mane and the fact that he's played non-stop, etc., etc. Robertson, he's had an injury as well, a couple of niggly injuries. I didn't think he was at his best, but it was brilliant that we were in a position to take him off at 60 minutes. But Phillips and Kabak, I know you want to go and touch on Kabak, but Phillips are brave. And that's confidence. That's absolute confidence for you. The fact that we saw him driving forward with the ball, and I was like, wow, this is Phillips when he drove that cross, like he was pretending he was Trent. Do you know what I mean? But that's confidence. That's he's growing as a player, as a man. He's got the team have got confidence in giving him the ball. How many times he was trying to find Thiago with those balls? There was one he found Thiago in the first half. I think it was probably one of the chances we created, and Thiago just flicked it first time out to Trent. I mean, it was a horrible ball, but he's got the confidence of trying to ping it into him because he knows that's Thiago. Wherever I give him the ball, he'll do it. So I thought it was wonderful to watch him play. And look, we can't literally thank Phillips enough for sticking around and becoming this force of nature that he has in the last couple of weeks, because God forbid, where would we be without him this season, lads, honestly.
Dan J says, fair play to Phillips. I never thought he could perform at this level. I'm happy to keep for him to keep proving me wrong if it gets us top 4 and a 7th European Cup. And Megan McCallion says that Phillips and Kabak were brilliant yesterday. In her opinion, they didn't put a foot wrong.
Can I touch on them before we move on from it? Because Grace is very he doesn't like to give Phillips any credit. You can tell he's reluctant.
Where? I gave who credit?
You sort of you gave him a little bit, but
you kind of lean off the fence a little bit.
What, Phillips?
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest. Look, I'm not a reactionary. I'm not suddenly going to say he should be in our
squad.
But
it's not. No.
Because
it's
I don't
reactionary.
Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tuesday's a different kettle of fish.
I'm worried about praising Phillips tonight because I know what Karim Benzema does to world-class centre-backs.
And they're not going to play high long balls into Phillips.
Benzema will love it. Benzema will bully him. That's just the truth.
But go on, I want to hear Keith's angle.
No, I'm not going to say that too extravagant here.
Hey, listen, you can only give Phillips credit because
not
that. But in my point of view, he's done excellently when called upon. I remember Sheffield at home, West Ham at home, probably the best player in the pitch, Brighton away, excellent. Being Keith made saying he should be playing, but he kept going for the midfielders. But one thing I will say about Phillips, and this is the most impressive thing to me, right? We only think of football as in the now, all right? Phillips had a year at Stuttgart. Now, I'd imagine he's in regular contact with his agent.
Yeah.
Phillips himself would have probably never thought these opportunities would have arose to play for Liverpool on a regular basis. And he probably still thinks in his mind that his future is away from the club. But how he's employed himself since coming in is exemplary. And he went on and he got player of the month last year. He was absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent. But we're going up levels again on Tuesday. Arsenal a famous soft touch. And I understand you do these things in isolation. He was brilliant, but Tuesday is going to be tough for him because what Benzema doesn't make up for in pace and skill, he is elite in terms of his brain. And that's the type of footballer that he is. And this is where players like Kabak and Phillips will be exposed. And come here, it's completely normal because Benzema's been around the block. You don't play for Real Madrid for the best part of a decade and not still hang around. They're still relatively young and learning that trade. So Benzema want to watch on Tuesday.
It's up to the Fabinho to help him.
Yeah. So Tuesday is a massive, massive test because although Benzema is not as highly rated as some of the players that have come through Madrid, he's ridiculous.
Still there. And loads of them have left.
Exactly. And look at the player. Look at the player he's outlasted at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Higuain, Di Maria, Gareth Bale, Cristiano Ronaldo. He's still there. He's still there at the end of the day. And he's been doing the business for them. And they could sneak a La Liga title now because Jota have gone off a cliff.
Atletico are beaten by Sevilla tonight, which is sort of great. It puts the focus on the Classico next week, doesn't it?
Tuesday is a big test for the lads. And look, I have no doubt that they will both attack a hands-on. And Keith said they will need a dig-out. So Phillips and Kabak will make mistakes before the end of the season. I'm not going to go overboard on criticism, but I won't go overboard on praise either. They've come in, they've both done an excellent job, and we'll get on to Kabak later on.
Yeah, obviously. Well, before Keith lashes Grizz over, Kieran Doyle says Phillips is our newest cult hero, and Barry Devaney says Phillips will score versus Madrid. Mark my words, I'd love if that happened. And Grizz going, yeah, it was an alright goal.
Yeah. What about the cross?
I'm only messing with you.
I like that cult hero. I'm happy. Because sorry, Keith.
I'm not going to lash Grizz. No, I'm not going to lash Grizz over. All I was going to say was, the lads are getting better as a tandem. And you could even see, now Arsenal don't fuck all, but we played a higher line. And what we've been doing is we've been sitting too deep in recent games. And that's a lot down to the fact that Phillips is not quick enough. He gets isolated or whatever. But he's getting more used to it. And as Shawnee said, we all can accept he doesn't have a future at Liverpool, but he's securing the bag for himself now, and he's fucking making it. He's putting food on the table for his family for the next 10 years, and I'm delighted for the fella that he's doing that. In the here and now, he's doing it for us, which is great. But we just need Phillips and Kabak to stay fit. They have their faults. They're not quick. They're not the quickest. They're not that slow either. Kabak's sort of middling for a centre-back. He's not a quick centre-back, but he's not a snail either. But what I enjoyed about them yesterday, what I enjoyed about Phillips especially was, Grizz touched on it there, the midfield forced them, Arsenal, to long punts all the time, and they did. But when they were playing into Lacazette especially, Phillips was on him like a bleeding rash. It wasn't the long ball in, it was when it was coming into Lacazette's body, Phillips was in and he was getting a leg in as well on him. So I think he's improving against that type of play. Now, Shawnee's right, Benzema's a step up, a huge step up, and we need everyone to be on it from the first minute. But we're looking more solid, and the team's looking more solid when these two are making a partnership for themselves. And I just think, not that I wasn't lashing Grizz over, I just felt that he needs a bit more. No, Grizz is a top man. The Mitchell brothers were all good, but I just think that Phillips is playing a bit better maybe than just praising the midfield or the others. I think he deserves a bit of credit for making a career for himself in these few games.
Totally agree.
Craig Lowe says we starved them of possession. No one's got the ball off Genie since 1996, which is just a great show. The 3 goals, lads. Keith, I'm going to stay with you and give you the first one because we spoke about it earlier, the Trent assist. But Jota's only on the pitch minutes, and his knack. Now, don't get me wrong. I seen a picture today. A still shot of when the ball is landed on his head, and what Holding and that other clown Chambers is doing. Holding is flailing backwards, and Chambers looks like he's, like when you're about to bungee jump and you put your arms across your chest and you dive out. That's what he looks like. Yeah. He's nearly horizontal. But his knack of getting in there, the cross, outstanding. But his knack of just getting in there, not the biggest guy in the world. People are having a go at Leno, thinking he should have saved it. I don't think he has a chance of saving that. I think it's a fucking bullet header.
Yeah, it's a bullet header, and I know people are probably, you get a hand on it or an arm on it, a forearm, and it still goes past you, but it's a header. It's all about the cross, really, you know what I mean? When you get a cross like that at that pace, you just have to connect with it, and it's going to be a bullet header, and that's what it was. Now, fair play to Jota, because he's not the biggest, but he has a great leap on him. Yeah, you can criticize Holding and Chambers, but he was strong, and he got up there, and he buries the header. There's nothing Leno, I don't think, can do with that, because all right, if he gets a stronger hand on it, but it comes at him so quick. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an absolute rocket of a header at him, and I just think it's a great goal. The cross, everyone's going on about the cross, and it is an absolutely brilliant cross. But it's a great leap by Jota. Do you know what I mean? It's a great leap to get up there.
The position he finds.
Yeah. He has that knack for it. Shawnee touched on it. He has the knack for getting in them positions.
Because if you look, sorry, Shawnee, if you look at it, our Holding is a centre back and Chambers is a centre back. So it's not like he's peeling off onto a small right back and trying to get a header on it. He's getting in between two centre halves that
6 foot
should know. Like that fella playing at right back, his first thought all day long because he's a centre half. Is get close to me, centre half, get close and close and close. That's me cover, and I don't leave any gaps. And he just finds his way into that smallest gap. It's a brilliant header. Sorry, Shawnee.
No, one thing I love picking up on little things like this because I watch the analysis from the different channels around. So Norway, Alan Shearer was doing it, and Lineker was obviously doing Match of the Day, and Ian Wright. And they are massive fans of Trent because you can only imagine the type of strikers that they were, how much they'd love to have a Trent Alexander-Arnold whipping in balls to them because they know exactly all you need to do when you have that quality of delivery is touch the ball. And they remarked on people being harsh on Holden and Chambers. And I would have been like you, Gav, talking about that height. But height doesn't come into it. Alan Shearer made a point that if you do not stop that cross from getting to where it's supposed to be, it doesn't matter what you do to the man that it's going to. Because when the ball is hit in with that quality, all it requires is a touch. All it requires is a touch. Because a good striker uses the pace on the ball to direct the ball exactly where it's going. Because the ball is only going to go as fast as it's crossed in. So whipped in at 1,000,000 miles an hour. All Jota has to do is touch it. Mane has one in the second half, and all he has to do is get a touch on it, and it's going in. Trent with that 3 or 4 yesterday. You hear all of these legendary strikers, your Linekers, your Shearers, Wrights, they all fawn and drool over Trent Alexander-Arnold.
But they fawn and drool because them 3 players knew where to be, and this is what I'm saying. This is the biggest thing for me. It's not about his height.
Imagine how many times fucking Alan Shearer in his career made the perfect run and bleeding Robbie Salah didn't know where to put the ball. You know
but that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like that's why their eyes were just widen at the thought of Trent because it's not your height. It's being there, and Jota just seems to we've all seen him as this player off the left at Wolves and stuff like that. Maybe played in the front too with Jimenez or whatever, but it's just that knack of being in there, and the ball is sensational, but it's sensational because that fella knows this fella's bigger, it doesn't matter, I just have to get in there and I know what's going in there, and he's a good finisher. That's the biggest thing for me. Grizz, Salah makes it 2, and we see it, good little ball from Trent, I think it was, Fabinho down the side, Gabriel panics, he panics at Salah's pace, and it's a really cool finish. I've seen people having a go at Leno for this, but he just nutmegs him. We see that every week. It's a brilliant finish from Salah, and he's got one more goal than Thierry Henry in his first 150 league games for Liverpool. That's astonishing stat, isn't it?
It's frightening, but can I talk about the third goal? Can Keith take this one? Because my favourite was the third goal. No, honestly. No, please. Keith, I beg you.
Keith, will you take this for him?
Can I take it?
Shawnee will take it. Shawnee can take it. Yeah, go Shawnee.
And Keith can have the third one then.
No, Keith, you have that. I ran away.
I had the first one there, so go ahead.
Oh,
Shawnee.
did you? Oh, I thought Shawnee had the first one. All right.
Oh, I took it.
Before I let Shawnee take it, let Shawnee take it.
No, which one?
Before we do, can I just say one thing before we move off? I have about the delivery and those strikers loving the delivery. A perfect example, right, before we move off this. And when it's someone we've spoke about recently was Ruud van Nistelrooy when he was at Manchester United, and David Beckham was on the wing, and David Beckham was putting in that delivery all the time, and Van Nistelrooy was getting 40 goals a year, and then Ronaldo came in, and the delivery wasn't coming because the right wing was then cutting back, and Van Nistelrooy's making the run, and he's not getting the delivery.
He made a brilliant
Strikers
point
love that delivery.
He was on Ferdinand's podcast, and he said that actually. Ferdinand was talking about the thing with him and Beckham. He says, you knew where I was going with Beckham, but with Giggs and Ronaldo, you didn't know whether they were going to core in and try B2 at 3, whereas it was just first time whip every time. It's a great point. Just Trent is ridiculous. He needs more respect put on his name.
But who's taking Mo's goal? That's what I want to know.
Johnny.
Well, you're getting the third and you're moaning.
Give you the third, Keith. We can freestyle on it. I'll say one thing. The Fabinho pass is disgusting.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It's disgusting. It's out of this world, to be honest with you.
It's outrageous.
Keith, do you think he panics, Gabriel? Because I think he does. I think all things being equal, if he doesn't panic, he clears that. But I don't know whether he's panicking at the pace of Salah or he's trying to be. Is he trying to play too much football instead of just being a defender? But Salah frightens the life out of him for me, and then I think it's a really good finish.
Oh, it's a great finish, and it's perfect for Salah, because if I'm going to be critical of Salah, it's when he's running at players, I think he makes some bad decisions. But when he's running sort of at pace like that, one-on-one, when a player's beside him, the defender's in huge trouble, if you know what I mean. Like, so that ball was just a perfect clip ball, and we've seen Fabinho clipping balls in all the time. That was an absolutely perfect pass. And once you saw the position of Gabriel, you knew he was in the shits as soon as the ball went in. And Salah just put him under that pressure. Gabriel's eye patch got in the way. Exactly. Yeah, could only see out one eye.
But is it Keith? Is it the way the pass is played? Because if Fabinho plays that, you know, into out, it's going away from goal, and Gabriel it's easier for him. But the way he puts that, the way it's turning as it goes, it's nearly putting him under one where it's like it's under his feet nearly, or the way you have to play it back to me. He leaves him in two minds, and then of course you have Salah's pace is just burning you. And once Salah gets an inch on you, you forget it. You're not getting him back at you. You're not getting near.
No, you're not going to catch him. Like he eats that up. That's the type of chance that he looks for. When a defender's, like I said, on the back foot, he's fucked. But it was right. The ball was perfect. The way it went, everything about it, the pace on it, it sold him down the river. Now, Gabriel started off okay for Arsenal in his career. I don't mean yesterday, but he was all over the shop yesterday. And I think the last thing he wanted to see was a blatant clip ball like that coming in at pace over the top of him with Mo Salah running at him. And I think he shit himself. And I think he made all sorts of blatant rash challenges. But Sean, can take over on the finish there if he wants.
Go on, Sean. Knock a tap it in.
Yeah, surprised me. Just like Salah has a tap in, Keys had to leave me with a tap in there. Salah, I think too much of time goes back inside on his left, and you can think. I think Leno actually anticipates that, but as soon as he sits down, Mo just rolls it through his legs. It's gorgeous. It's training ground stuff. It was lovely. It's just one of those goals that we haven't been seeing in a while, and it's just one of those things that makes you think we might just be clicking here at the right time. I know you said, Gav, there's been a few false starts, but just little things like that. We know where front three plays off instinct. That was pure instinct yesterday, and Mo had fucking Gabriel on ice for large parts of the game, and again, just clinical. 2 goals, and I think it was in 3 minutes.
4 minutes,
we just took the game away from them, and that's what we need to be doing from now on, going forward until now in the end of the season.
Grizz, there was lots in our WhatsApp group, especially when we go 2-0 up. Shane Davern, of course, behind the sofa with a share bag of meanies and a couple of bottles of Moretti. But the first thing he said was, you have to manage the game now. And it's a fair point he makes, you know, and because you're always worried, Grizz, you know, you're 2-0 up, you're away from home, Arsenal get a goal back, and they could, by being shy, they could get a 2-2 draw over, and we're going, what the fuck's going on here? But then Jota just decides, no, I'm fucking completely taking this away from you. Talk us through it, Grizz, because I've heard on the grapevine you'd like to speak about this goal.
It's my favourite goal. It really is.
Ever?
I mean, no, for the night.
Okay.
Because obviously, look, Trent's delivery for the first, and Jota's movement and intelligence, and then the Salah finish and run. We've discussed that, but I thought the third goal, Gav, was epitomized the game. So Arsenal trying to play out, us counter-pressing them straight away, Trent's quick thinking, Mane's miscontrol, but he's in the right position. And then Jota says, fuck off, all of you silly cunts. And absolutely, you slags. Mercilessly just slams it. Oh, he does in Portuguese. Yeah. I lip read. He says some of those things, and he just lashes the shit out of it into the back of the goal. I've been thinking, and since then, Gav, I thought about his game and what he's done at Liverpool all night. Because sometimes I have these nights where I study certain aspects and topics, and if it's not potential players, it's our current players and what I think of them. And he's been getting praise, but he's more than we can't praise this kid enough. What he's done this season, how he's come into the best team in Europe, the best strike force in Europe, coming from a team like Wolves, for a hefty fee, and everyone's thinking, Jota. I mean, okay, fair enough. Good squad member might make a difference, and then he's taken over the gaff in those first 9-10 games before he gets injured. Scores a goal a game, it seems, when he starts, or even when he comes off the pitch. Says, I ain't here to play no backup role. You know, you got your Mo, you got your Bobby and your Mane, but you know, the attitude and desire this kid shows from day dot. And then he gets injured, and then you think 3 months out, you think, fuck, you know, he's going to take another month to get back into it.
Yeah, you don't know what his sort of recoveries are like, and you just say, yeah.
And he comes back, better than ever. And I thought yesterday as well, just as soon as he came on the pitch, it lit up our attack, it lit up our team. Suddenly, Thiago saw movement everywhere. Suddenly, Fabinho saw, you know, the likes of Trent suddenly saw movement everywhere. Mane increased. What Gav said earlier, when Jota comes on the pitch, he's automatically lifting the other players' performances, even though it may be from a competition point of view, but also sort of a team point of view. And the camaraderie, you know, they showed at the end there was, you know, I got excited again, lads. We haven't been excited much with Liverpool, but I got excited again. And the way he just lashed that into the corner, I loved it. He thought, no, because that first half was, we had control, we had lots of play, but there was nothing concrete in terms of efficient, just finish the job. And that's what Jota brings to you. It's scary. I was actually comparing him, and I was trying to work out, who does he remind us of? Yeah. And we know we've discussed previous players, but forget other players and then from previous teams. Look at this team. He's actually a cross between Mane and Salah, you know, lads. He's actually a cross between them. He is hungry as Salah for goals, and his play and his incessant pressing is just as like Mane. And he's the perfect mixture.
It reminds me of Carlos.
Yeah, it's a great comparison.
I think he's a better finisher than Tevez. I honestly do.
Tevez.
Carlos Tevez. I just see Carlos Tevez just incessant.
He's merciless in front of goal as well.
Never
and
stop.
He's got betting heading ability as well. Obviously, we've been proven than Tevez, but I just couldn't. I just think he's the world's his oyster, lads. I think he's. I read a stat and then I nicked it and used it in a brilliant tweet. And you know that he's got, after 14 games, he's got a better record than Mo in terms of goal per 90 minutes. I mean, that's fucking insane going in a season like this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a comparison. Like Tevez is a good one, you know, because Tevez pops up all over the place. But the biggest thing for Jota for me is it's just where he turns up. It's just, you know, like when I say to you, like we've spoken about his heading ability and stuff like that, and you know he's fairly quick. I don't think he's lightning quick. I think he's fairly quick. I think he's a good finisher. But it's when you say, if I said to you, what is it about Jota? Like if you say what's about Salah, his pace is fucking monumental. It used to be that with Mane, but now he's a bit more of a creator. Firmino, he orchestrates. You know, you see players, what does this? But when you try to pick an attribute of Jota, I think it's quite difficult. And I don't think, that's not a slight on the player. I think it's just, he's so, for me, well-rounded as a player. So, can he run off the back of you? Yeah. Can he hold it up? Yes. Can he be a number 9 and get in the box? You've seen it in that third goal. Because
you see defenders bouncing off him as well.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Shawnee. If I said to you, give me the first thing you think of a player, like if I said Michael Owen to you, what are you going to say? Pace, right?
Pace.
If I say to you, Ruud van Nistelrooy, you're going to say clinical. If you're going to say Shearer, strong, and he just buries the ball, you know what I mean? Yeah. Fowler, natural finisher. But when you say to Jota, you kind of go, well, is it pace? Well, I wouldn't know his pace.
Intelligent.
You know, there's so much to him. And do you know what he's nearly like? He's like, do you remember these players used to rave about that arrive late in the box?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They never arrived late in the box. They were always in the
Frank Lampard,
right?
They're just always there.
That's what I think it is. He's like a striker that arrives late in the box. It's mad. But I think, and we, no doubt, you know, I said it to you in the WhatsApp group yesterday, I think Jota will tear the arse out of this league next season. And I think the biggest reason for that is if they bring in another forward player, and you allow Firmino a rest, and you allow Jota to get in there, and you allow Salah a rest at times, Mane, and this fifth player gets in, and you have a team of 5 there, I think the Premier League could be terrified by them 5, simply because, A, you don't know who's going to play every week. Well, you probably do, but you know that 3 of them will play and 2 of them will be on the bench. And I think, you know, heavy legs in games, I think Jota is just perfect for it. And if you bring another player on top of that, it's unbelievable.
Lucas Halsberg put a good comparison in there and said David Villa, and I think that's a nice comparison of a player. You know, David Villa wasn't the quickest, wasn't the strongest,
we knew where
but
to
he was
be.
always in there, and he was always finishing, and he, you know, similar build and all that.
Loads of different goals.
It's hard,
David Villa.
It's hard to compare him with a player because of the type of player he is. You know, he does get in late into the box. That was the beauty of that third goal. I think was that he came in and he just took it. We're too nice. We usually get that and pass it up.
You should probably just compare Jota to Jota because his fella's making his own name for himself. Exactly. Obviously, we can make comparisons to.
Well, regardless,
I said it. I said it just after he came back. That I said it myself. I think this time next year, people will be talking about Diogo Jota as one of one of the best number 9s around in the game because he's ridiculous.
He just gives you so much, and I think he
scores every type of goal as well.
Yeah. But not even that
specific type.
He is. You know, when you hear this thing, he can play all across the front line, and most of them fucking can't. He can because he doesn't have that. Like I said, he doesn't have that attribute where you go, put him through the middle, he's just pace is blistering. Put him in the middle, his heading is fucking outstanding. Put him as a 10. He actually can play all across the front line because his attributes are all around 80 to 85, and that's brilliant because it suits you. You're not relying on just his pace or just his, you know, his shots or whatever it might be. I think he's a fabulous player, and I think the biggest thing is a 5th player in that squad next season. I genuinely do, because I think it not only stops teams from just designing their tactics around, say, a Jota, Salah, Mane, or there's 5 of them you have to deal with. How the fuck are you meant to bring up, possibly 3 or 4 different game plans for these players?
You look at Daka today; he could be another mad show.
I think he'd be very, very, very highly rated by Liverpool, Daka. But that's the game. We're at 260 likes. Kev O'Sullivan reckons we should stop talking until we hit 300. Listen, there's 700 people in this chat.
There's a Kabak update exclusive if they want to get to 300 likes and get a Kabak update. Like,
are you not giving that till 300 now?
Yeah, you know, if we haven't reached 300, it's fucking bollocks, innit? Like, are you taking a piss? Like, so 300 likes.
This way, I don't
it's true though. It's like, are you taking the piss?
I don't
you like it. Not you, Gav, not you.
No, I don't like mentioning likes when you're on board here because you get very upset.
Yeah, they take the piss, Gav. Like, they know it's their favorite show. It's bank holiday weekend. It's Easter. There should be happy vibes. Press a fucking button. That's all we're asking you to do.
Press it now or on the way out or wherever you might be. Someone let us know when we get to 300, will you? And Grizz will start talking about. Kevin Sullivan says it's 283. So if you get to 300,
291 now.
Oh, 291. We're going to get to it. But before we get to Kabak, Shawnee, I'm going to come to you, and I want to talk about Kylian Mbappé, right? Because is it LeBron that's acting the maggot with him and making t-shirts, printing t-shirts in the ILAC?
Good lads, 300 likes. Good lads.
Right, collaboration, didn't they?
They're doing a collaboration, but Shawnee, now I'm not for 1 minute saying, you know, Mbappé 2021 is a great tag, and we put it on our show because I find it a bit of a laugh, right? But Shawnee, no, that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say to you. Is there seems to be, and listen, you know me, Shawnee, I don't read a lot of social media, I don't read a lot of articles, I watch football and I comment on it, right? You guys are much more in depth than what you do. What I'm saying to you is, Shawnee, is there, in your opinion, a growing emphasis on Kylian Mbappé joining Liverpool, and this LeBron James thing is just another layer to that possibility?
I don't think it's a ground emphasis at all. I think this is something that's been worked on for years, if I'm being honest with you. I think this is something that has been worked on since Mbappé has been at Monaco. Yeah. And that's not to be acting ITK or anything. I just think when you're looking at these businessmen, commercial value and what a player can bring, I think Mbappé is cheap in terms of what you get for what you pay for. Not only talking about his ability to play football, but what he is waiting to become in the game. Himself and Haaland are waiting in the wings to to be the pretenders to the crown that's going to be left behind fairly soon by Messi and Ronaldo. And there's no doubt in my mind that pre-LeBron, post-LeBron, whatever, that FSG don't understand how big the opportunity they have now to get someone like an Mbappé in. My only drawback on it is that I read recently how much he's making a year at PSG, and for him to want to play for Liverpool, I think he's going to have to be hungry to want to play for Klopp, and I don't doubt that he is, because he's publicly said in interviews how much he likes Klopp, and he's talked about Liverpool before. His wages is the only thing that I think. I don't think the transfer fee is an issue at all, but I would not be surprised if Liverpool are ready in a package to bring him to the club. And I do think it will be dependent on one of the big lads going. And to be honest with you, I would have absolutely no issue replacing any of the front three with Kylian Mbappé. I'm just letting that be known now. I think it's a massive, massive, massive opportunity, not only for the player, because I do think it's an unbelievable move for Mbappé in the next step in his career, because I do think we could rocket him again to another stratosphere. He's 21. He could play for Liverpool at 4 years and go to Madrid or Barca before he's even in his peak. So let's be honest. We can sell him this. We are a viable option, and we should be considered. I don't think people should be laughing at it and sniffing at it like it's some sort of fucking trivial clickbait shite, because I don't think it is. I do genuinely believe there is genuine interest.
I wouldn't. I can tell you, I do all the titles on these shows, and I wouldn't put up a Kylian Mbappé thing unless I was serious about talking about it, right? I just wouldn't. There's other channels that will put names on their fucking things every day of the week, so you click on them. I wouldn't, right? It's simple as that. I will ask a couple of lads, what do you think, and you three on screen, and one or two others will come back and go, listen, there's actually something might be going on here. Okay, I'll talk about it. That's how we work. We're not clickbait. It doesn't fuck. It's not the road we go down. Kieran Thorne says Mbappe is a £300 million all-in signing that becomes a £1 billion franchise. And you know, I don't think you have to sell Liverpool to Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe knows all about Liverpool. You know, Stephen Duffy does say who's paying his 500 grand week wages? Is it the Vatican? But you know,
it's on 25 million a year, and that's what they have down. So you with those fucking Qatari oil states, that's what they have down. That's what he's down as earning. So I'd imagine it's probably even north of that.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to have to be hunger from the player side to want to play for Liverpool if it's going to be something that gets done. But to be honest with you, he strikes me as the type of kid who is more about legacy than money. And when you see him linking up with the likes of LeBron James, would go to say, because let's not forget, anyone who's familiar with basketball, LeBron James could have played his basketball at many other places for way more money, but he's chosen rings over cash. So he will be in his ear about stuff like that. The importance of legacy, because at the end of the day, legacy is everything to footballers. I think I want to go to the very, very top. Legacy is everything to footballers, and it's something that's so prevalent in American sports that the best players ever don't earn as much as the others. Like Tom Brady wouldn't probably be in the top 10 earning quarterbacks.
Never was. He always took it less.
He always understood the value of success and how that can't be bought, and you can't put a price on that. So we should be selling Mbappé that dream, and I don't think the two better people in the world of sport to be in his ear than Jurgen Klopp and LeBron James, because I do think they will be able to turn the screw in terms of this.
It's an interesting one, and Keith, you know, firstly, you know, we've spoken about this privately, and that's why we brought it up tonight, because there is a grown kind of feeling amongst Liverpool fans and other people that there might be something in this, genuinely. But legacy is an interesting one, Keith, because I don't think there's a better football club to go to if you want to create a legacy. And as Shawnee says, you could turn up at Liverpool in the summer, right? Play 5 years, right? Score fucking 200 goals, walk away as an absolute hero that be revered for Liverpool for 50, 60, 70 years' time, we see the lads from the 60s now. They're still revered. So he could actually have a massive legacy, walk away from Liverpool and go to, whether his dream is Barcelona or Real Madrid, whatever it is. And that's just a personal thing, right?
I just want to pick up, Billy Wyman says in the chat there, LeBron is the highest paid NBA player in the year every year. He's not even in the top 5.
He doesn't make anywhere near it. Yeah, and that's a great point.
He's nowhere near it because he's given up half of his salary so that Anthony Davis can play with him. So
yeah. And always has done that. Always has done that, Shawnee. Yeah, they're right.
Yeah. But like, is the legacy thing, is that a big factor, Keith? I know the money is massive, but the legacy thing has to be a big factor here. Is that something that puts Liverpool absolutely in the race for this?
Yeah, I think it is, because I think Kylian Mbappé is born in Paris, right? He's a Paris kid. He's not going to get to where he wants to be by staying with PSG. He's there now, and he's built his sort of reputation. It's not a competitive league. Now, they bring in Neymar, they bring in Mbappé. They still haven't got over the line in Europe, and that's what everyone wants, is to get over the line in Europe. But Kylian Mbappé knows if he can go to Liverpool. Let's use Liverpool as an example. We're a Liverpool fan channel, right? So we'll use Liverpool as an example. He goes to Liverpool, as Shawnee said, and you build a reputation, a godlike status, and you only have to look at players who've done it. You only have to look at the players who've gone and done it, that have taken Liverpool and have gone and been revered for it. That's what we sell them on. Jurgen Klopp has constantly spoke, or we've been told that Jurgen Klopp and Kylian Mbappe's people have been in constant contact for years, since he was at Monaco, that they've always wanted to be kept in the loop for him. We've said it before on these shows that before COVID happens, that there's a run, the Mbappe 2020 stuff start coming out, and it's like, well, there's a run for Mbappe, they can do it. FSG are not foolish, despite what a lot of people think. And something Shawnee touched on there was the fact that he's right. LeBron James was never, he maybe his new Lakers deal is a whopper deal, but he always took,
even in top 5.
Yeah, he always took a haircut to allow others to get money, because you're right.
He's doing Space Jam and the rest to make the rest of the money.
That's where it is. It's endorsements. That's where they make the money, and that's the way Liverpool can get around the Mbappe thing. I've seen somewhere that he gets a cut of the jerseys that he sells. I remember when Man U signed Pogba, and that was all, that money gets made in jersey sales alone, and they make back their money. Liverpool can do something around that. Again, Shawnee touched on the PSG wage bill is this or whatever, but like Man City, their salaries are a certain amount, and it's all their image rights and all that bumps up all their bleeding wages and all. Liverpool can be cute and can be clever around that if we think the Mbappe thing can happen. I think it's gearing up for it. I think this is the sort of thing they've always been trying to do, is to get not a superstar. We have Salah, we've made the superstar. If we've a sniff of getting Kylian Mbappe, I think FSG would pull the trigger and do that. But look, you might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Yeah, people. But look, it's a very interesting one. The chat is absolutely hopping here with regards to Kylian Mbappe, LeBron, and there's also some comments in there around different YouTube channels, and I'll knock that on the head. We're not interested in different YouTube channels, and the comments aren't needed in the chat, by the way. Grizz, Kylian Mbappe. If I was to say to you, you have to let your hair grow until Kylian Mbappe signs for Liverpool, would you be confident of having that look tonight that you have in the near future? That's the only way I can put it to you.
Yeah, it's a weird way of putting it to me, but look,
I know, yeah, you like it, don't you?
Keith and Shawnee have discussed the complexities of it and the intricacies of it, and so I'm not gonna talk about that, because they've explained it very well, and everything they've said is absolutely spot on. And slightly serious, we do chat in the WhatsApp, and we chat about everything to do with football. And obviously we spoke about Thiago last season, and I got whiff of the deal very early, and similar noises were made that in terms of, look, Thiago's doesn't suit the profile and everything, but sometimes you get to know someone who's part of a deal, even as an intermediary, and you trust them. without getting the viewers and listeners excited, but getting them very excited at the same time, it's the same source. And forget the complication, because none of us know the exact financial details behind it and how FSG would sanction a deal, draft a deal, and how it would work in terms of wages, the fees and everything, the endorsements. Kylian Mbappé is Liverpool's number one target. We will 100%.
I'm getting giddy.
we will 100% make an offer for Kylian Mbappé, and we have the finances and means to do so, as long as Kylian Mbappé indicates to us that he's willing to join us. I'm going out on a limb, and I'll say it because we've got a few other things to talk about. If we reach Champions League, lads, if you reach the top four, or we reach the Champions League final, if you win the Champions League, Kylian Mbappé will be an LFC player. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh.
That's what I'm going to say.
Absolutely. Clip the bit you're getting. I love it. Look, a couple of more things before we leave, because we're nearly an hour and a half in, and people have to go to bed and play Warzone. But Kabak and Grizz are going to stay with you. Kabak, of course, comes to Liverpool on loan for 6 months or 5 months, or whatever you want to call it. £18 million fee, option for Liverpool. We've seen him improve steadily since he's been here. We're in April now. The season finishes in about 5 or 6 weeks' time. And the rumour going around is that Kabak will be signed on a permanent deal. What do you think are the chances on that? And I'll just leave you with that question. What do you think the chances are that you can have that one?
As most of you know personally, and I've made it very vocal, I wasn't a fan of him personally, right? And so therefore, sometimes I talk from that bias in terms of I never fancied him, and then you think to yourself, well, every time he does well, I'm very happy for him. But this is from a very good Arsenal source of mine. Arsenal have made an inquiry about Kabak, because remember, we've got an option to buy as opposed to an obligation to buy. So his agent is still getting offers from other clubs, seeing him perform so brilliantly, admirably for Liverpool. So they're thinking, okay, well, if there's a deal to be struck for around the 18 million mark, we should be making offers as well. From this Arsenal source, and he's a very, very good Arsenal source, he's not a spoofer as such, as a serious man. He's been told by his agent, Liverpool have taken up that option to get Kabak, buy a Kabak at the end of the season for 15 million euros. There's no point asking about him or discussing him. The same was
15 million euros.
Yeah,
15 million euro. Seville. Seville,
12 million pounds.
I don't know. Do the maths. But
that's 12 million pounds.
But that's the figure. That's the figure that.
Well, then then they're not taking up the option of the 18 million. They've agreed a deal for 12.
Yeah,
there'll be an agreement, a gentleman's agreement in there. Liverpool have the deal, and I'd say it's 18 million was the figure that was thrown in, and Liverpool, the fact that Klopp will have good connections there, I'd say it's we'll take him, and this is the money guaranteed. It's a great deal of Liverpool.
Well, maybe the Arsenal source was given an incorrect figure, but the main gist of it is Kabak's agent has been telling other clubs that Liverpool have told him that they're taking up the option at the end of the season. So look, give and take a couple of million here and there, but the ballpark figure is around the 15 to 18 million, whatever it is. But the point is, they've taken up the offer. I am slightly surprised because I thought we'd wait until the end of the season. But then again, he's shown enough, it seems, in training, in performances, attitude, and hunger and desire. Because when you hear the lad, he only talks about Liverpool. And he's made that abundantly clear. His aim in life is to make it at Liverpool. So that must have rubbed off well on Jurgen Klopp and the hierarchy. Yeah. And they've taken the option to go for him.
Good. So that's Kabak. So that's Kylian Mbappé confirmed to Liverpool if they make the Champions League somehow, and Kabak confirmed to Liverpool. So that's 2 out of the way. We're going to be short of stuff in the summer now when we do our transfer agenda show. But look, we'll find something. We'll find something. Keith, if Kabak happens, we get on to Ibrahima Konaté. So The talk on Ibrahima Konaté is that Liverpool have apparently he's done part of a medical. It's £34 million is the buyout, isn't that right? €41 million, somewhere along them lines.
Yeah.
So if
Work it
Kabak
out.
is in, what do you think the likelihood of Konaté is? And I only want you to answer that because I'm going to leave the last question to Shawnee.
I think Liverpool need two. Personally, I think I think we needed one this season, and I don't see why we wouldn't go for two. Don't think the Kabak deal impacts on us buying another one. I think Matip's fitness has been, unfortunately, it's let him down. It's let us down. It's not going to get better. I don't know what Klopp isn't a ruthless manager who'll kick someone out, right? He's not. I think if we can do a deal that'll move Matip on somewhere, well then I think you bring in two, and I'd be happy with Kabak and Konaté personally. If you're bringing back a 80% of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez, I think we'd be away in the bleeding hack with that four.
So Grizz has confirmed that Mbappé if we make Champions League, and he's confirmed Kabak. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not happening to 10 absolutely happening, where would you rate this Konaté deal?
8.
Nice. Nice one. Leaving 2 spare. Grizz forgot to do that, but you've done well. Shawnee, Konaté, Kabak, you're gonna presume it's Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez. Does that mean that Joe Matip leaves the club and also Nat Phillips leaves the club in the summer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think there was talk of clubs being interested in Matip last summer and we didn't let him go. But I think it is time to cut off. So it's so unfortunate because I do really rate Matip as a defender, but he's just not available.
Our second best centre half.
Yeah, 100%, Gavin. And by a stretch, I'd say I think he's absolutely brilliant. There was the Champions League run when we win it. There's games where he carries Virgil. People won't admit that, but
he comes back after injury and has the 6 months of his life.
And he was absolutely excellent. And even in games this year, he was brilliant. Look, no doubt in Matip's ability, but availability is important over everything else. Why I would have slight reservations with Konaté, because obviously he's had injury issues and we know it's down to one, and people more intelligent and more in the know than me have released detailed threads on how Konaté is not actually injury prone, that it's down to just this one injury. Ability wise, Konaté is ridiculous. If he was fit,
monster is the word of being used loads.
Yeah, if he's fit, Gav, there's no discussion. He's the best centre half under 21 in Europe, in my opinion. That's just how good he is. And I obviously think Liverpool see this sort of opportunity to snap him up and take the gamble on him, because it's a risk reward type of thing. And if this pays off with Konaté, it's scandalous the price that we're going to get him.
44 million is scandalous, isn't it?
If you do the two of them for 50 million, it's some deal. If you do the two of them.
Now, if you're giving me 45, 40 million to sign other centre backs, I would be looking at other players just due to I'm a massive fan of Ezri Konsa at Aston Villa. I think he's going to go straight to the top. And I know there's been clubs being linked to Mings, and I know that Southgate is even thinking Mings over to England. So I don't know if it's Konaté. I'm happy to trust the committee with this one, because again, like I said, absolutely nothing got to do with ability. The lad has absolutely bags of it. If we can get him over his injury problems, it's a joke. Virgil Konaté back to in the Premier League. You can play fly keeper. You could probably release Alisson and just
Alisson could be just at the goal at the post.
Alisson
doing his moustache and whatever. Just
stand there with a bleeding mustache comb and a bit of wax. And like Grays on a regular on the catch and chat there. So
we'll buy Alisson a watch from Tayrock, and he can just Snapchat and Instagram pictures of his watch during the game if they're into our centre half.
If Konaté is the one, then happy days. Let's go. And I'm buying more. We'll obviously get into transfers. The midfield is going to be the big one for me, because whoever, I think that's going to be the big one for me. This summer we go far in the midfield, because there's so many options now and so many different types of players' names being thrown about. So I'm interested to see. I'm excited for the summer, whether we end up inside or outside Champions League spots. I think we're going to
I'm not 100%. We may look at a central midfielder. I'm not 100%. I think if Konaté and who's your man we got at the moment, Kabak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chris, you were saying this in the.
I think it's ludicrous if you don't sign a centre midfielder.
I'm not 100%. I think.
Are you saying this in the off chance that Janie might stay, or?
Yeah. In the off chance that Ginny may
I think it's still ludicrous.
And no, yeah. Well, we can discuss that as the months come up. But I think first we need to see if Ginny's actually going to go, because there's a lot of talk that the Barcelona contract has been ripped up. They had an offer, but so first that, and then if we get Konaté and Kabak, and as I think we will get Mbappé, then I think that's us. And
that'll do us.
I for one, I'll for one be very happy. Exactly.
Nah,
right. Well,
we want more than that. We want Hossam out as well.
Listen, don't get greedy now. Don't get greedy. Listen, we better finish this up. Just quickly, the website, lfcdt.com. Go there and have a look. Check it out. Let us know what you think. You can let us know what you think in our Discord group, which is linked in the show description. Here, it's also linked on our Twitter. So if you look at our new website and you like it and you think we can add to it, absolutely go and tell us the good points and the bad points, because that's what we're there for. The Discord group is absolutely hopping. There's nearly 200 people in there. The chat ranges from fellas playing the PlayStation to talking about fucking UFC, football, transfers. It all goes off in there. It's free to join. It's really, really good. We've revamped it and made it a lot easier to use. So the link is in the description, okay? 10,000 subscribers, we are doing a giveaway. It's a PlayStation 5 with FIFA 21. When we hit 10,000, we will log those 10,000 people into a random generator. Well, what we might do is we might pick about 5 people out of that, and then we're just going to give questions to Grizz to represent you for the crack. Or we might just pick out one name and go for it, but it'd be much more fun if we gave Grizz questions to work on your behalf. But that's about it. Of course, the link in the description is also there for the Keane campaign. That's absolutely flying, and the lads have finished at 300 kilometres each in the month of March. Well done to all them boys, but you can still go into 2 links there, one for a GoFundMe, one for a PayPal, and you can still donate to Keane and get him way above that $100,000 mark, which will be absolutely exceptional. Man of the match, one word answers. Keith.
Fabinho.
Great. Grizz.
Trent.
Shawnee.
Jota.
Okay.
Gav.
Gav, it's the Nat Phillips Ultras, please. Thanks. And that is about it. That has been the Fatback 4. The viewership tonight has been exceptional. The chat has been exceptional. Stay with us. Make sure you subscribe. As we say, when you subscribe, the chances are you won't unsubscribe, because we have a good laugh. We talk football. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We have a good time. That has been it. Forum is back tomorrow. Special guest on there tomorrow, announced in the morning. And of course, we'll have loads throughout the week around Real Madrid and before and after Real Madrid, of course. And enjoy yourselves. Happy Easter. Over now.